Hi, everyone, and we're here with NukeTheFridge.com reporting live from the Star Trek Beyond world premiere at San Diego Comic-Con 2016. We're going to have a fun night in store. It's a historic evening here. We have an outdoor IMAX premiere, first time ever outdoors down here, and it's going to be absolutely incredible.
Hello.
Hi, Levi from Nuke the Fridge.
Hi, nice to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Fridge, little Indiana Jones reference.
Yes, it is.
Did you know that was in the original Frank Darabont draft, the Nuke the Fridge thing? Yeah, I read that.
Well, here we are, third Star Trek movie, 50th anniversary of the series. What was it like for you coming on board, not just acting as Montgomery Scott this time, but actually writing and crafting the story that would become Star Trek Beyond?
Well, it was obviously a very different journey for me because, as an actor, you come on board and you prep and then you shoot the days that you're in. But with this, I was in it for the whole thing. Even from January until June when we actually wrote the thing, which is in a very short space of time, to the whole to the whole shooting process, during which Doug and I carried on writing to finesse it and get it as good as we possibly could. When I wasn't in my red shirt, I was sat offset on my computer, with Doug. Sometimes when I was in my red shirt, it was an intensive process, but one that kind of ended up being incredibly rewarding.
Now, in terms of this film compared to your work on the first two, how do you feel about it? Is this one of your, do you think this is like the best performance of Scotty so far, or is there a way even to judge the three of those?
I think the great thing is that every time we do this, we get to live the character in a little more, get to it's like you get a new pair of shoes and they're a little awkward, and by the time you've worn them a few weeks, I feel like so comfortable as Scotty now. I felt very much in the shadow of Jimmy Doohan, as you should be. He's, the best Scotty ever, but we've been able to kind of take ownership of these characters in a way that I think the original cast would be happy about, And I've stayed in contact with Chris Doohan, who plays Scotty in Star Trek Continues, and that's my connection with Jimmy. And Chris has been so supportive of my characterization, which has been lovely, to get that little validation from,
Now, of course, back in the 1970s with the Star Trek animated series, there was the character of Erix, who was also voiced by Jimmy Doohan. Is there any chance that we could possibly in the future see Erix appear on the Enterprise in the Kelvin timeline? And what better person to do that would be probably Chris Doohan.
Yeah, I mean, my first experience of Star Trek was the animated series. I watched it in the early 70s when I was a kid, before I discovered the live action. So for me, it was funny when I started watching the live action, and it was obviously in the first season a variety of people, but when Chekhov came along, because he took over from Erix. No one's ever going to fill Chekhov's chair now. So who knows is going to step into that position? We'll see.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we have Grunberg here. So you're back for Star Trek Beyond.
Yeah.
You're playing Commander Finnegan this time.
Yes.
Any connection to Finnegan from the original series?
You will have to watch the movie to find out. We were over there shooting, and Simon and I were like, this guy could be Finnegan. So, I'm so lucky to be in this movie, have any little part in this movie. I just love Star Trek, and so this was an opportunity. I was supposed to play Olsen originally, and I was shooting something else, and so I did the voice of, Kirk's evil stepdad, which was just a voice, but this is ridiculous. Justin Lin, this movie is so good, and to be here doing my show, I have the show Geeking Out on AMC, so to be doing that and covering it, and Kevin's down there, it's awesome.
Very cool. How big of a Star Trek fan were you growing up?
Growing up, I was not. I mean, I love Star Trek, but I wasn't a Trekkie. In other words, I watched, occasionally. I was more of a Batman and Robin. I mean, I'm an old guy, so I go way back. Yeah. But the original series was always intriguing to me. And then the movies, though, is really when they first started making movies. That's when I was watching, and I was really into it. So to see that happen now on such a grand scale, and the cast is amazing, and Zach and I worked on Heroes together. So
Now you're one of the few actors to actually work on both Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yes, me and Simon Pegg. Yeah, it's amazing. You have to trek before you war, and apparently I've done both. It's just a privilege. These are both so iconic. These are, so near and dear to so many hearts that, to be I would have done craft service on both, okay, which was amazing, by the way. Really good craft service, yeah.
So this is your third time out now as Keenster. Can you talk a little bit about the journey you've taken as Keenster over 3 Star Trek films now?
Well, Keenster has gone, it's getting better and better with Simon, with Scotty, and like you're going to see, it's going to be recruited another two in the team. So it's going to get better and better.
Now, what was it like to you to create an original character not seen in the original series or original movies, and have it be so well received by fans and by audiences around the world?
Well, it just happened, because when I first met JJ, and they showed me what it was, make it happen. I did, and it's like he is very, even though he doesn't say much, they say silence is golden, but he makes it up through comedy, through his mannerism, and it's amazing to be involved in such a big franchise.
Now, is it any more challenging for you as an actor, as a performer, to be in a role where you don't have any dialogue, or very much dialogue, and as opposed to something where you have your words and to help with your expressions?
It's doubly hard, when you got to portray that you're not saying anything, you got to show your emotions, and you got to work doubly hard, and you got to make it bigger and better so that it registers through the costume.
Now, one last question: where would you like to see Keenser go in the future in Star Trek 4?
With Scotty, I like to see a spin-off, Scotty and Kinzer.
Hi, well, thank you, Doug, for joining us. So, co-writer with Simon Pegg on the third Star Trek movie. What was that like for you?
It was an incredible experience, and made all the better for working with Simon and Justin and all the guys at Bad Robot. It was just it was kind of a screenwriter's dream come true, so I couldn't have asked for anything more.
So this being the 50th anniversary, and there have been so many stories told in the Star Trek universe over 50 years, what was the challenge in finding something new and an original take?
I think the challenge was really trying to get back to, or get to that spirit of what we thought Star Trek really was, and sort of Roddenberry's ideas, and how we sort of adapt that and sort of, make it feel relevant and poignant in 2016 now.
So, if you were to be involved in a future Star Trek production, or what would you like to see happen with the series coming up?
I'd like to see some more exploration. I would love to see these characters in this cast, especially, who I think are just so amazing and embody these characters in such a specific way, that anything we could do to deepen those characters, learn more about who they are, what makes them tick, challenge that, I'd be there for any movie that did that.
Now, one of the really great things that people who have had the pleasure of seeing it so far have raved about is the character development that you see, specifically within certain characters, and getting to see for the first time in this version of the series the dynamic between Spock and McCoy. Can you talk a little bit about writing for them?
Well, we wanted to split the characters up in ways that we hadn't quite seen yet with this particular cast, and we just thought it would be so interesting to have Bones and Spock, who were always sort of on either end of Kirk, together. And there's so much that's inferred about their relationship based upon the original series and movies that have come since, and the relationships that Leonard Nimoy had with William Shatner, with DeForest Kelley, but we hadn't yet seen that, and we thought it would be great and really past due to have these guys really see what their relationship and explore that.
So here we are, third Star Trek movie, 50th anniversary, and you're once again playing Lieutenant Uhura. What was it like for you returning and revisiting this character?
First of all, it's a dream come true. I can only dream for it, and when it happens, I almost have like an out-of-body experience. To know that I'm a part of something that has lived for 50 years, representing such a strong message of peace and unity, and I feel like that's what we've become, this new family as well, honoring not just the ones before us, but also honoring what Star Trek really represents, means a lot. And even though it's a bittersweet event because we're missing a cast member and we're wearing a black pin in honor of Anton Yelchin, we're here because of him.
So in Star Trek Beyond, Sulu has a little bit more assertiveness. He sits in the command chair a little bit. Is this kind of hinting, or are we going to see at some point, maybe as we get closer to what would have been the motion picture era in this series, Sulu maybe getting to the Excelsior?
You should ask. You see the guy in a red tie? He's got glasses on. Ask him.
So let's talk a little bit about now you're in your third movie playing Captain Kirk. What was it like to you? What was it a challenge to you to make it fresh and still exciting?
It really had nothing to do with me. It was Simon and Doug's really, I think, smart move of making Kirk less of a hothead and more of a commander who's a little tired and lost and seeking new direction for his own life and wondering whether the same things that propelled him when he was 27 were the same things that were propelling him now. And that was interesting and very real to me and new, so I liked that.
Oh, Nuke the Fridge. Okay.
So, here we are, 50 years later from the beginning of Star Trek. How amazing is this for you? You know, seeing your father's legacy play out on a gigantic screen yet again. What is that like?
It's mind-blowing. I was born in '74, so I wasn't even around for the original. But the fact that it's gone half a century is mind-numbingly cool. And that's an understatement. For me, it's always been more about the messaging and the philosophy in Star Trek than the sci-fi and the action. And, I have actually seen this movie yet, but I have some close friends who have, and they say that it does an incredible job of representing Star Trek. And got to give credit to a lot of people, but this gentleman over there, Simon Pegg, I think he's done a fantastic job, at least from what I've heard, but I have no doubt. It's going to blow it out of the water.
Now, is there what would you like to see in the future with the franchise continuing on? Is there anything that you hope that they one day explore that has not yet been explored with this current Kelvin universe timeline?
I would say pushing the envelope, but I mean, what do you think? We've talked about things. My father was great at taking social issues and arguing the extreme side just to get people to think outside the box. I think Star Trek is the perfect platform for that.
Now, of course, next year, there's going to be a new Star Trek series, which I've heard you talk about to several people already this evening, which you have very little you can actually say. But is there anything you can actually share with us that is, that we might be the fans might be interested in knowing?
I don't want to be that guy that's just not saying anything, but I am that guy who's just not saying anything. Brian Fuller, at the panel at Comic-Con, may or may not share a bit more. That will get people excited. I cannot right now.
Let me ask you this. Is it exciting for you knowing that Brian Fuller and his history with Star Trek, and also all the stuff he's done since his time with Star Trek, but also Nicholas Myers and his incredible legacy with Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, is that exciting for you to knowing that they're the ones who are going to be carrying this forward going into the future?
I was thrilled when I heard Brian Fuller was going to be a part of it. I think he's the right guy to do it. I really do. And the interactions I've had with him, the conversations we've had, from what I've read, he understands the landscape of television today. He's walking that line between classic Star Trek and messaging and all that and bringing in a new audience. And I think he's doing a great job from what I can tell so far.
So here you are. You're back for the third Star Trek movie, Star Trek Beyond. You actually didn't know you were going to be back right away.
That's correct. Yeah, I actually got killed in the second one. And, fortunately it didn't make the cut. So I was so happy when I was invited back for the third film.
Now, in the second movie, Into Darkness, you were revealed to be Lieutenant Hindriff.
Yes.
And there was a little bit of a history in the original series with him. What was that like, finding out, this character originated in the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek, and to find out that you were also going to be someone who had a connection to the original series in the follow-up movie?
It's so crazy, isn't it? I mean, that we get a chance to play these iconic characters. And I think, in a way, we're kind of carving our own path at this point. We're 3 deep now into it. So, for me, I think that that's something that for the fans to decide. And for me, it's an honor to play a part of it in a huge ocean,
All right, everyone, so that's a wrap from the red carpet for Star Trek Beyond, the IMAX experience here at San Diego Comic-Con 2016. Hope you guys enjoy all the interviews. Be sure to check Star Trek Beyond out in theaters at this time, and beam me up, Scotty. Well, that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Had some great times out here on the Star Trek Beyond IMAX experience red carpet here at San Diego Comic-Con 2016. Hope you guys enjoyed all the interviews we got. We talked to some very incredible, talented filmmakers here this evening. And be sure to check out Star Trek Beyond, opening up in theaters, and live long and prosper.
My dad joined Starfleet because he believed in it. I joined on a dare.
You joined to see if you could live up to him. You spent all this time trying to be your dad. And now you're wondering what it means to be you.
We were overwhelmed by something we've never seen before. I know this isn't the last of my crew, but this is my last report as the captain of the Starship Enterprise.
I'm bracing for the pain and I am letting go. I gathered all my strength and I found myself. I hit a wall. I thought that I would hurt myself, but I hit a wall. And I feel like but I hit a wall.
Let's make some noise.
I hit a